Welcome to Learnings, a channel dedicated to spotlighting the expertise of educators, designers, and innovators committed to sustainability. Join us on a journey as we explore the definitions and technologies that underscore our dedication to preserving environmental spaces. Samuel's focus is deeply rooted in environmental consciousness, as he passionately employs commercially available bio-based materials in all of his furniture designs. His inaugural creation, the Chair 3 series, has garnered recognition in numerous industry showcases and design publications. Samuel's work serves as a tangible demonstration of immediate possibilities for reducing reliance on petroleum, particularly within the realm of furniture design. Stay tuned as we delve into the transformative intersection of design and sustainability with Sam.
So I'm Samuel Aguirre. I am a second-year grad student pursuing an MFA at Rhode Island School of Design. Since being here and a couple years prior, I've been working with commercially available bio-based materials, which is basically just natural materials to create compostable furniture. I'm currently working with plant-based fibers such as hemp, cotton, post-consumer paper pulp, and I'm using an all-natural starch-based binder to hold it all together. So my work is, as I said, hyper-focused on commercially available natural materials because it's very much focused on what we can do here and now. That mantra, here and now, kind of runs through everything that I've been doing, and it's basically a commitment to creating objects that can be produced within existing supply chains and existing methods of production that are available today. So here and now. So
Lovely.
The research focuses on where materials come from, how they're sourced, how long they're used, and where they go at end of life, and then taking into consideration the overall impact to all stakeholders, so the environment, the economy, and the community.
Out of curiosity, because you have past experience in the industry of furnishings prior to your current pursuit, really, what drove you? Was there something in that time of experience that drove you to bring this idea to light? Was there a problem? Was there an idea? Was there a conversation? What really motivated you to make this transition?
So the idea of being an environmental steward has always been there throughout my professional career, all the way back to my undergrad days. And like you said, I come from originally a construction management background. So that took the form of being like a lead AP and getting that certification. And that's always been there. But there was also this creative energy that I've had that I didn't really know what to do with. And it wasn't until 2012 ICFF that like this whole world of furniture and design-driven furniture really opened up for me. And I don't know, as soon as I stepped foot in that show, that was really like my commitment to furniture about 10 years ago. And then marrying that with my interest in just trying to do the right thing where possible in terms of the environment, that was a paper mache project with my son, actually. We were just making toys, making helmets, making swords, and just pulled some recipes online to make some paper mache objects. And that evolved to making something more compostable because we were doing so much of it. And I don't know, personally, I just realized like we were making some very like structurally sound toys. Some toys that we created 3 years ago are still in the toy bin today. And I think that's really where this specific pursuit of compostable objects really started. It started in the toy bin with my son.
That's amazing. So really getting into compostable products, you've had a couple of, I'd say, prototypes or tests, but one caught the attention and has started to get a lot of publicity. Do you want to dive into what that is and what it's made out of and its overall purpose?
Yeah, I think you're talking about the Chair 3 series. So since being at RISD, I've been able to work a lot closer with the paper studio, basically the paper making department, and really understanding like the depth of fibers that are available to us and just how environmentally sound the paper world is. Prior to RISD, like I said, when I was making toys with my son, it was just recycling grocery bags, just pulverizing that paper, finding a natural binder and playing that way. But as I said, there's this whole infrastructure of supply chain that's based around natural fibers, and it really caters to the packaging industry and the paper making industry. So I was tapping into, I guess for these chairs, each one represents a different fiber, and it kind of adapts this one design to leverage what that fiber is capable of. So there's one chair that's made out of post-consumer paper pulp. There's one chair that's made out of 100% cotton, and then another one that's made out of cardboard, and then more just craft paper, so more traditional paper mache. And I think that's garnered a lot of attention. One, because of the form. I think I know the form was developed to accommodate a structure that could make compostable furniture like structurally sound. The target has always been commercial grade compostable furniture. So the idea was, how do we create something that can withstand that environment? So the images that you're probably showing of the chair, the form is really driven by that. So that, in combination with, I guess the materials would be a fiber, natural binder, which is, I use a starch-based binder, and then sometimes there's a surface treatment that uses natural milk paints. The one that's receiving the awards and getting all the attention at Want to Design with Metropolis. We got a Best of Year award in the student category with Interior Design Magazine. That has a milk paint surface. And there's a lot of exciting things that could happen with milk paint, the different colors and how it applies to these different fibers. That's a realm that's really, I'm just starting to explore now.
And I probably will be interviewing someone about milk paint. That's a very, very good note. So that's wonderful. Out of curiosity, what's next? Are you going to try to adapt this towards different typologies of furnishings? Like, what are you thinking is next on the horizon?
Yeah, so we're already developing credenza. We're developing floor lamp, table lamp. We're trying to think of something that is more lounge based. So we started with chair because if we're going to do this, let's like prove all the naysayers wrong right off the bat. So let's go straight to the guest chair, the side chair, the dining chair, the thing that receives the most abuse day in, day out in a commercial environment. And let's build for that environment. And it's kind of setting the bar high to begin with, but the idea was, let's just prove it right off the bat that this is possible. And once we prove chair, we can adapt to other forms and typologies that receive less abuse. And we can always go back to say, hey, it can be a chair, so it can be anything. So at the moment, we've just launched one credenza in Miami during Design Miami. We participated with a show called Alcova. We're going to be presenting a new iteration of the chair and the credenza at Milan this year. And then we've done a couple iterations of a table lamp, which I'm going to adapt to a floor lamp. So there's a lot of things happening. There's also some sheet goods that I'm developing with a couple of collaborators here on campus. That's definitely more on like the scientific research side, but I don't know, just the applications are pretty limitless. And it seems like there's a real craving for plant-based objects, compostable objects in industry today. So there's a lot of support on the research side, which is very exciting.
I think one of the benefits here is that by constructing something new, that it can be decomposable, and basically just compost it into the ground, and that's not so scientific. And I'll keep that in. That you don't have to worry about what to do with it after its life is over. You don't have to worry about the wastefulness of that product. The biggest challenge of circularity is always finding a second, third, fourth home, and then honestly just sustainably decommissioning the product afterwards. In this case, it alleviates a lot of those pressures and burdens, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I think there's obviously, just like you touched on, there's like a disconnect with how long we use our objects and how long they're built to last. And then obviously what happens to them when we're done, we toss them and we move on. Because the reality is we're using our objects for a fraction of their true life cycle. Nowhere is that more true than in the petro-based objects, the fossil
Mhm.
fuel objects. So I think this pursuit is noble and it does bring some peace of mind, but if we're being completely transparent, that is just one piece of the pie. There's this whole other world of compostability. Yes, these objects are made to throw in your backyard, in your home compost situation. Honestly, you could throw it in the forest too, and in 5 years it would be completely gone, without any detriment to the forest you threw it in. But if we're really talking about impact and we're talking about scaling, that's not the right solution. We want a compost facility with the infrastructure to handle these plant-based objects that are coming from homes across the US. So I think what this concept has to be married with is the idea of a scaled infrastructure on the waste management side. There are commercial grade industrial composting facilities, but not on a scale that could handle compostable furniture at scale. So I think these two things really need to grow together. And we're seeing enthusiasm on the consumer side for plant-based objects. It's kind of hard to get that same enthusiasm out of like waste management, getting people to rally around that. But hopefully somehow those things will grow. I've definitely took on the object side of things as like my task. I'm hoping there's another Sam out there who's really excited about waste management and growing the composting infrastructure on the waste management side.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So after this is all said and done, and after you developed all these prototypes, I said, "What's next in terms of product line? What's next in terms of career? What are you thinking? What are you thinking you'd like to shift towards after this? Start your own company, potentially, work for one of the big ones. What are you thinking?" And I'll cut this out, obviously, if you don't want to answer that.
No, this is such a fun question, and my answer is like consistently in the clouds with like a touch in reality. I'm having so much fun doing the development. I'm having so much fun really leaning into the creative side of my existence. For so long, as we met in the industry. It's been a lot of project management, project coordination, and business development, which has been phenomenal experience to have at this point in my career and my trajectory. I think most creatives don't like bring that to the table. So I'm really grateful to have that experience in my pocket. But moving forward, I very much want to stay on the research, the experimental, in my mind, the fun side of things. I want to play in the studio. I'm having so much fun, and I want to see what I can do to keep that alive. So my quick answer to that is I want to make what I want to make when I want to make it, and I want people to see value in it. A lot of what I'm doing is very sculptural, and I want to keep doing that. And my hope is to have an industrious business partner or organization interested to believe in that pursuit and handle more of the marketing, the deployment at scale. I want it to be a conversation, but I want to be side by side with this individual or organization to where I'm continuing doing what I love to do. They're continuing to do what they love to do. And together we're creating something that has impact in the world. So that could be the form of, one-off work for galleries. That could look like partnering with one of the big manufacturers who are really interested in like pushing the needle forward, in commercial grade compostable furniture, which I think is very doable. Just takes interest, I would say. Interest and industriousness.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So as always, I always like to give the audience a closing statement or something that you feel would resonate with the group, something you wanted to message to them. So if you were to address this group with something impactful or something to leave behind, what would you say to them?
I think it's two-part, and I've kind of touched on both of them a little bit. The first one is that compostable furniture is viable and capable to like meet our standards, like here and now, today. I think in my conversations day to day, when I'm showing this work at shows or having conversations with people, outside of my bubble of academia, is there's a lot of concern on the ability of like natural fibers to really do the job that, we've depended on the petro industry to do for so long. But the reality is, those toys are still in our toy bin 3 years later, and they're as good and as capable as they were when we made them. So I think one message is just kind of shifting the mindset on what compostable furniture is capable of and natural materials are capable of. And then the other is kind of that growth and scale between the compostable furniture world and the means of composting at scale. I think how we spend our time, where we put our attention, is just as valuable as any vote in any election. And the more we pay attention to how we're composting, the larger this infrastructure will have to become. Just it's a matter of numbers and scale and attention. It's the world we live in today. And I think where we put our attention is where our world will eventually go. So that would be my second, is just acknowledging the growth that the waste management world needs in the field of composting.